Today we are going to be solving equations and looking at fraction review. So first questions here, we want to solve for the unknown variable. The first one, we have 3 over 4 equals x over 24. So we want to cross multiply here. So cross multiply means across the equal sign, we multiply. So 4 times x and 3 times 24. So 4x equals 3 times 24. 4x equals 72. Now between the 4 and the x is multiplying. We do the opposite to get it to the other side. So we are going to have 72 divided by 4. And our answer, x equals 18. The second example here, we have negative 10 equals x minus 3 over 2. So we want to move this divided by 2 over to the other side. The opposite of dividing is multiplying, so we are going to have negative 10 times 2 equals x minus 3. So we'll have negative 20 equals x minus 3. We then want to move the minus 3 to the other side. We do the opposite, and that minus becomes a plus. So negative 20 plus 3 equals x. And we end up with negative 17 equals x. The last example here, we have 2a equals a plus 14 over 4. Again, we have a divide. We want to get rid of that, move it to the other side. So the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So when we bring that 4 over, we're going to multiply. So we'll have 4 times 2a equals a plus 14. This gives us 8a equals a plus 14. Now we want to get both a's on the same side. So we're going to be moving this a here to the other side. Since there's nothing in front, that means we have a positive, and the opposite, bringing it over here, will be a negative or minus. So 8a minus a equals 14. 8a minus a is 7a. And to get a by itself, we want to move the multiplying by 7 to the other side. Opposite of multiplying is dividing. So we'll have a is 14 divided by 7 and an answer of 2. The next example looks a little bit different. This one we have a divide just with the variable v. It's not going all the way across. So we're going to have different steps here. The first thing we're going to do is move this plus 2 to the other side. It'll become a minus. So negative 2 minus 2 equals v over 4. Negative 2 minus 2, so we'll have negative 4 equals v over 4. This divided by 4, do the opposite when you bring it over, so multiplying. Negative 4 times 4 equals v. And negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. Okay. The next example, we have 14 equals negative bracket p minus 8. So we actually, the negative out front is a negative 1 that we are multiplying by the bracket. So we want to move the multiplying by a negative 1 to the other side, meaning we're going to have to divide. So 14 divided by negative 1 is equal to p minus 8. 14 divided by negative 1 is negative 14. And then we want to move this minus 8 to the other side, and it will become a plus 8. So negative 14 plus 8 equals p. And our answer here, -6 equals P. Okay, we're now going to move on to fraction review. So talking about adding and subtracting fractions. When we talk about fractions, we have our numerator up top and our denominator is on the bottom. So the first step is to get a common denominator. Once you have a common denominator, you add or subtract the numerators and keep the denominator the same. So looking at the first example here, we have 4/9 plus 1/9. So the first thing, getting a common denominator, these already have the same denominator, so we can just add the numerators. So it's going to be 4 plus 1, which gives us 5, and we keep the denominator the same, which is 9. The next question, 3/8 minus 1/4. So we want to get the same common denominator. The same common denominator would be 8. So we need to have a number that we can multiply by 4 to get 8, and that's multiplying by 2. So we need to multiply both the top and the bottom by 2. So our new question is going to say 3/8 minus 2/8, because we have 1 times 2, that gives us the 2 up top, and 4 times 2 gives us the 8 on the bottom. Once we have a common denominator, we can subtract the numerators. So 3 minus 2 is 1, 1/8 is our answer. Next question, we have 2/7 plus 1/3. The common denominator here will be 21. So the first fraction we need to multiply by 3. 7 times 3 will give you 21. And the second fraction, 3 times 7 gives you 21. So top and bottom will be multiplied by 7. So the first fraction, 2 times 3 gives us 6 as the numerator, and 7 times 3 gives us 21 as the denominator. The second fraction, 1 times 7 is 7 as the numerator, and 3 times 7 is 21 as the denominator. Now that we have a common denominator, we're going to add the numerators. So we have 6 plus 7. That gives us 13/21. Okay, and the last example here, we have 5/6 minus 1/9. The common denominator here will be 18. So a number that we multiply by 6 to get 18, that's 3. So top and bottom get multiplied by 3. 9 times 2 will give us 18. So top and bottom get multiplied by 2. Our first fraction, 5 times 3 is 15/18. And we minus 1 times 2 is 2. That's over 18. Last step is we subtract the numerators and we keep the denominator the same. So we have 15 minus 2 gives us 13/18. Once we get our answer, we have the option to make our fraction into lowest terms as well. So that means we need to divide both the top and bottom by something until we can get to our lowest possible numbers without it becoming a decimal. So looking at this first one, we have 10/30. I noticed that these both have a 0 on the end, and that means I could divide both by 10. So 10 divided by 10 is 1, and 30 divided by 10 is 3. 1 over 3 is my lowest terms. Okay, so you could take a different approach on this. You could divide by a different number other than 10, and you might just need to take more steps in order to get to that 1 over 3. Okay, looking at the next one here, we have 24 over 48. I know that I can divide both top and bottom by 24. (24) divided by 24 is 1, and 48 divided by 24 is 2. So the lowest terms for this fraction is 1/2. Okay, now we want to look at multiplication of fractions. So with multiplying fractions, we need to multiply the numerators together and multiply the denominators together, and that is our answer. So the first one, we have 1/2 times 3 over 5. So multiplying the numerators is 1 times 3, we get 3. Multiplying the denominators is 2 times 5, and that's 10. So we get an answer of 3 over 10. Looking at the next one, we have 3 over 4 times 1 over 5. We multiply the numerators, 3 times 1 is 3. Multiply the denominators, 4 times 5, that gives us 20. Last one here looks a little bit different. We have 3 over 5 times 10. So we actually don't have a denominator for the value 10. We want to make that into a fraction. So in order to do this, we have 10 over 1. If we put anything over 1, it doesn't change that number at all, and that's how we create a fraction. So now that we have two fractions, we can multiply the numerators. 3 times 10 is 30. And multiply the denominators, 5 times 1, which is 5. If we wanted to simplify this, we would do 30 divided by 5 and get an answer of 6. So dividing fractions is going to be similar to multiplying fractions. There's just one extra step here. So the first step is to flip the fraction after the division. So we keep the first fraction the same. So this first one, we have 3 over 7 divided by 1/2. So we keep the 3 over 7. Oops. We change it to multiplying, and we want to flip this second fraction. So we move top to bottom and bottom to top. So this becomes 2 over 1. Once we get it to multiplying, we just multiply the numerators. So 3 times 2, 6. Multiply the denominators, which is 7 times 1, 7. Next question, we have 1 over 2 divided by 3 over 5. Again, keep the first fraction the same, change it to multiplying, and flip the second fraction. So that one will become 5 over 3. Now we multiply the numerators, 1 times 5, which is 5, and multiply the denominators, 2 times 3, which is 6. Last question here, 3 over 4 divided by 5. Again, we have a whole number here. We want to make that whole number into a fraction, so we just make it over 1. Now that we have two fractions, we can go through the same steps here. we keep the first fraction the same, the 3 over 4, change it to multiplying, and flip the second fraction, so that will become 1 over 5. Lastly, multiply the numerators, 3 times 1, multiply the denominators, 4 times 5, 20. Okay. All right, so that is our note for today. You may now work on your worksheets, continue the worksheets from yesterday, as well as the new one that you're given today.